At just 14 years old, a young and active girl from California named Kaylee never thought twice about skin cancer. She was too young to worry about this disease. But in 2020, her life was turned upside down when she was diagnosed with stage 3 melanoma. This is the most harmful type of skin cancer. This diagnosis made her go into a depressive state and made her lose a lot of her relationships. Luckily, after 1 year of fighting, she is now cancer-free. I'm telling you this story about Kaylee to make you all more conscious of how skin cancer can affect us all, no matter our age. After knowing multiple people who have experienced skincare diagnoses and hearing Kaylee's story, I wanted to research more about this disease and share my findings with you. Today I'll discuss how significantly skin cancer impacts our society, how it is caused, and what things we can do to prevent this disease from developing. In order to become more conscious of this disease, we need to understand the problem at hand. Skin cancer is a very common disease and it affects everyone here. In fact, the Center for Disease Control, also known as the CDC, claims that skin cancer is the most common cancer diagnosed in the US. As well, the American Cancer Society states 5.4 million skin cancer diagnoses happen every year in our country. We have to realize how significant this number is and realize it will impact all of us at some point or another. A lot of people think that skin cancer isn't that harmful, but that is not the case for everyone. Skin cancer can spread and become a very dangerous cancer and can be hard to beat. The Cleveland Clinic did a study on how melanoma can spread and how that affects the 5-year survival rate. When melanoma, which is a form of skin cancer, is caught before it is spread to any lymph nodes or other organs, then the 5-year survival rate is 99%. But when it is caught after spreading to other nearby lymph nodes, this decreases to 66% and even decreases more to 27% when it spreads to distant lymph nodes and other organs. Since the impacts of skin cancer are so significant, we should understand how it is caused. Skin cancer is caused by damage to the cells in our epidermis. The epidermis is the top layer of our skin. So in this diagram, you can see this is the epidermis, like that top layer. And there are 3 cells that can be damaged in here that create skin cancer. The first is squamous cell skin cancer, and this is the cells on the top layer that shed and are commonly replaced. When the DNA is damaged, they turn into an out-of-control growth. Then we have basal cell skin cancer, and these are a little bit deeper, but this is the most common cell that develops skin cancer. Then we have melanoma cell skin cancer, which is the most dangerous form of skin cancer, and this is formed deeper in the epidermis, and this is like those cells that are damaged are your body's natural sunscreen and protect the other layers of your skin. You may be asking yourself how the cell damage occurs, and it is typically due to UV rays damaging our cell's DNA. The Skin Cancer Foundation says that UV exposure can be caused by natural UV exposure like sunlight or from artificial exposure like tanning beds. UV rays trigger mutations in our DNA, which then those cells rapidly divide and can't be broken down by our body. Hopefully by now you have understood how serious of a problem skin cancer is. Luckily, there are practices we can do in our daily lives to decrease our chance of developing this disease. The first practice I'd like to discuss with you that I encourage you all to do is to wear SPF every day. I guarantee a lot of you don't wear it all the time and only when you're in like the sun for long periods, but it's very important that we start wearing it more frequently. SPF is designed to reduce the effects of UV rays, and as we just discussed, UV rays are the things that are very harmful and create cell damage. According to the academic journal, The Adverse Consequences of Not Using Sunscreen, there have been studies that conclude all skin cancers can be associated with burns before the age of 25 years old. Since sunscreen helps prevent those serious sunburns, we should wear it to help prevent cancer as well. The next practice I'd like to discuss with you that you should be implementing into your daily life is avoiding the regular use of tanning beds. Tanning beds are UV-emitting devices that produce an artificial UV rays. Even though these rays are artificial, they can still be extremely harmful, so it's important that we don't use them. According to a journal from the Archives of Dermatological Research, tanning beds, when used while also being exposed to natural UV rays from the sun, can be associated with a 50% increase in developing basal cell cancer. The third practice I encourage us all to do is to get spots checked that raise suspicion. When I'm referring to spots, I'm talking about freckles or moles that are created by the sun or UV rays that don't look like other ones. So we can do self-assessments on ourselves to catch skin cancer on these spots in the early stages. Because as we said, we want to avoid cancer from spreading for it to not be as harmful. The National Cancer Institute provides us with this self-analysis test we can do on ourselves. It's called the ABCDE self-test, and it has different criteria that you should be asking yourself when checking any spots on your body. So the criteria are asymmetry, border, color, diameter, and evolving. For asymmetry, you should ask yourself if one side of the spot is asymmetrical to the other side. For border, ask yourself if the border is irregular, so if it has a lot of ridges or is uneven. For color, ask if the color is abnormal, so if it looks different on one side of the spot to the other, or if it looks different from like any other regular freckles. For diameter, you should ask if there's been a change in the size, more importantly an increase in size. And for evolving, you should ask yourself, has the spot changed in the last few weeks or months? I highly encourage you all to implement these 3 practices into your life more often to help prevent yourself from developing skin cancer in the future. Today we discussed how significant skin cancer is and practices we can do to reduce our chances of getting it. We talked about how it impacts our society because it is so common and how it is more harmful than people think. We talked about how it is caused and how it develops in our body. And then we talked about the 3 practices, which included using SPF, avoiding tanning beds, and going to the doctor when needed. Although I provided you with this information, it's up to you guys to take it and use it in your daily life to really help yourself prevent skin cancer.